Everyone is talking now about AI and digitalization. Even a stupid criminal can now use AI in order to create a sort of smart attack. And so we have to counter this by being even smarter. So if you would like to achieve all the given goals in Paris, the 1.5 goal and so on, there's only one way to achieve this. And this is, as you mentioned, impact investment. At the very end, I would assume that in the future, all investments should be either sustainable or not even possible.
Welcome to BOSQAR Future Talks, Philipp. Thank you so much for joining us. We've been very happy to have you on our BOSQAR board for now over a year. And today we're here to have your take on a couple of topics that are, I think, on everyone's mind these days and this year. We'll start with an easier set of questions, which is AI and digitalization. So you've had the opportunity to see a lot of companies and a lot of views from the regulatory, from the political side on how big systems handle innovation. So how do you see the companies, especially in Europe, being actually ready to use this tool and keep pace with global competitors? And what is it that companies, but also regulators and political agents can do to assist local and regional national champions across Europe to stay competitive?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a very good question. So everyone is talking now about AI and digitalization. However, particularly when it comes to the small and medium-sized enterprises across Europe, they are talking about AI. They have a sort of clue that there's something going on, but they have no real use cases for their specific business. And that's where BOSQAR INVEST can also play an important role. We can help SMEs to really have concrete use cases in AI. When we talk about our BPO, for example, we use already, as you know, AI in the BPO business. And that makes a lot of sense. So even if you're a CEO or manager of a SME and you have not that much clue about AI, you don't need it. If you get in touch with those who have a clue, like BOSQAR INVEST or even others, so then you can buy specific use cases for sale, online management, online market, whatever. Then you can be sure that at least BOSQAR INVEST or others are using AI. And when it comes to regulation, I think we need a clear legal framework in which companies can maneuver. So that there's stability and clarity, what is allowed, what is possible, what is not possible. And then the market can further develop. At the same time, we also have to take into account that also criminals can use digitalization and AI. And that leads automatically to the topic of cyber protection and cybersecurity. And also here we can add quite a lot so that we can empower companies to use AI, but at the same time to be protected with their cloud, with their data, with their AI tools, and that they also protect against AI attacks. Because even a stupid criminal can now use AI in order to create a sort of smart attack. And so we have to counter this by being even smarter.
What about national and European, pan-European strategies? What can be done at the level of governments and European Union-wide policies to support businesses not only on the competitiveness side, but as you say, on the risk side? Because the threat of AI, especially in the cyber security space, is increasing.
So first, I think they should do their, I don't want to say too arrogant, but their homework. The state should be someone in the entire field of digitalization who has the best knowledge about cutting-edge technologies. This is currently not yet the case. So, and if they have not the best knowledge, you can assume that their legal framework based on their level of knowledge cannot be the best either. So that's the reason why I first encourage to learn also as a public sector about what's going on in the field of digitalization first. Second, once you have adopted and understood what's going on, then you make your risk assessment and then help with your legal framework to your society to address the risk in a proper way. A good example, a positive example on the European level is the current NIS2, which has come into effect in October this year. this called Network Infrastructure Security Directive 2. 2 because number 1 was not specific and at the end not that successful. Now they sharpened the tool and they are addressing mainly the SMEs who are acting in critical infrastructure, for example, in pharmaceutical industry and so forth, so that they are aware, oh gosh, there is a risk, and my job as a responsible manager, CEO, manager director is to take care of this risk. You cannot delegate these kind of risks to your chief information or chief information security officer. No, you have to take care as a leader, and this is a clear message from the European level, and the national states have adopted it. So at least something is going on that we as a European Union can be more resilient against the cyber risks and use opportunities given thanks to the digitalization.
Let's move to the second kind of trendy hot topic of today, but I think one that's really experiencing a big change, which is sustainability. The last 2-3 years, we've had a massive push on policy, on linking development support, European Union-wide funding being really steered firmly policy-wide into links into sustainability. Obviously, some pushback as well. To start with for example, German automakers or French defense industry. Finally, farming and agricultural environment and societies and cooperatives across EU. But the push and the direction is and has been quite steady on the policy side. Now we see a reversal of rhetoric, and obviously with the new EU elections, there has been also a signal, it seems, from the electorate in terms of how much that topic is dear and close to the public's mind. How do you see this mapping out? Will the policy and financial framework continue to develop in this direction? Will it reverse? Will the political and policy framework still support and endorse investments in sustainability? Or will we see a kind of back to black type of momentum?
I think it's good to focus on sustainability in all the different parts, environment, social, also governance, sustainability. Second, maybe in the past, the instruments and the way to achieve this kind of sustainability have not been ideal. So most of the different governments and even the European Union, they try to achieve more sustainability by prohibitions, like forbid some technologies and even industries, but this won't work out because problems occurring out of usage of technologies cannot be avoided, not even be minimized by simply forbidding the technologies. They can only be reduced by using better technologies. So maybe this could be a better way. We discuss it currently, the question of the automobile industry on the European level. If you say you would like to have not any more combustion engines, even they would have CO2-free fuel, then it's not smart. Because we have in the world 1.1 billion cars. If you replace 1.1 billion cars with battery cars, you need maybe also 100 years first. Second, it's a huge need of resources. So why not focus, for example, on fuel which is CO2-free based on renewables and power to gas and other things. And then you can use the existing cars without having CO2 emissions on top of the current balance sheet. So this could be one way. And in short, it's not on the politicians to decide which way is the best. They have to define the goals, what is maximum in terms of temperature, CO2, whatever. But the way towards achieving these goals should be free and should be focusing on technologies, not on prohibition. And if this is the right way, then we can see that we will move in the right direction. If they're focusing too much on prohibition, you will see that those parties will come up in future elections, and we have seen recently in the European election, who are against the simple prohibition. And sometimes, quite often, they don't have even a better clue, better idea, but they're against this prohibition, and the people are so annoyed from this prohibition and the lecturing from the politicians that they are even voting for populist parties because of getting rid of these, lecturer across the board. If we really have both sustainability, but keeping our democracy intact, we should focus on technology.
How about incentives on the side of, for example, there has been a big push on sustainable finance as a way not to punish, but to ultimately incentivize and make access to finance more affordable if it links to climate goals. A big factor in that is also frameworks which allow banks and institutions, development or financial private sector to support and endorse through more favorable terms those that deliver sustainability results. It is a mix of somewhat policy-minded, not forbidding but incentivizing, as well as private sector market incentive.
So if you would like to achieve all the given goals in Paris, the 1.5 goal and so on, there's only one way to achieve this. And this is, as you mentioned, impact investment. There is no other way. If you focus on investments only from the public sector, you cannot succeed. So if you see the portion of public investments versus private investments, I think we're talking about 10 to 90%. So 90% private sector, 10% public sector. But what the public sector can do is to make it more attractive to invest as a private sector in sustainable investments, to have impact investments. At the very end, I would assume that in the future, all investments should be either sustainable or not even possible. So that really the entire financial system will focus on sustainability. Only with this financial system, you can finance and steer a transformation. And to make impact investment attractive, then the public sector can leverage the private sector's money and can really have literally impact towards a sustainable economy.
As we were talking just before, maybe 2-3 years ago, everybody's mind was really on sustainability, then AI is now the hot topic, but now everybody's mind seems to be turning to geopolitics. And we are looking at quite a turbulent next 6 to 12 months across the board. With conflicts east, south of us today, it is very hard for investors and companies to frame this and to know what to anticipate and to ultimately set themselves a framework how to think about the events that unfold. I'm not going to ask you what is your prediction how it works out in November in the US, but how should companies grapple and analyze and position themselves to deal with the impact from these changes? And it seems like whichever way things go, there will be very big and substantial geopolitical changes.
Yeah, I fully agree. And as you mentioned, back in times, not even 1 or 2 years ago, everyone was talking about sustainability only. Now we are realizing, due to the aggressive attack from Russia to the Ukraine, that geopolitics plays a role, not only abstract in the South China Sea, no, it's really here in the midst of Europe. And the only message is, first, Europe has to wake up, has to define their own interest, has come even closer together, has also a say in terms of geopolitics. And the good news is, this is at the same time also an opportunity for Europe. So to become independent on geopolitical level, which means not automatically following China or US, but saying what is the interest of the European Union? And then fighting for, having a stance, having a position. And I think given our size, given our economic strengths, also our military strengths, I think we have a say. But we have to become more self-confident and proud and aware that this is also a topic of the European Union and not only the question how we can manage the CO2 emissions of the automobile industry. So this is one thing. The other thing is, when we are coming closer together, this will even strengthen our market. So we should also consider what can we do for our companies in terms of being successful here inside Europe, to even break down still some existing silos, coming really to a digital market and other things. Second, we also should more articulate our economic interest on a global landscape. And if you see that the biggest free trade agreement in the world, it's called Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, is between ASEAN, China, Japan, Korea, and Australia, New Zealand. But who is missing? United States of America and the European Union. And this should be changed. So again, wake up call, that means Europe should be not only self-confident, bringing together also some geopolitical forces, but also defining the interests on a global level and fighting for a global role in global trade and global investment.
I think what ties all these three together is leadership, right? And I think the topic of leadership is a difficult one. We've often heard that we are in a period of a gap of leadership in both public and maybe sometimes even private sector roles. But today we find ourselves in IDC Bled, leading business school in the region where BOSQAR is shareholder. What can we do at the level of the private sector to support development of talent and leadership, to ultimately provide the people of, the managers of tomorrow, the skills to grapple with all of these challenges, which 10 years ago, a student in an MBA program or otherwise would have not dealt with, be it AI, be it sustainability, be it geopolitics. None of these three would really be something that they would study. What do we need to teach the leaders of tomorrow to be able to deal with these challenges?
I would say the finest art of leadership is always leadership by example. And I think this is exactly the right way BOSQAR is doing it with this very institute. And certainly, politics is politics, but business can play a role. It can say, look guys, we have leadership day by day, and we are measured by our leadership. If we are not good leaders, we won't succeed, and then we will go bankrupt. States cannot get bankrupt that easy, at least. So that means politicians have not always this risk in mind, oh, we can go bankrupt. So which is unfortunately not the case, so maybe that explains quite a lot, but come back to the question of leadership. By training good managers, by being a good manager on a company, by demonstrating the three main issues of leadership. First, being always bold to make a decision. Even in the most tricky situation, once you have to make a decision, don't wait too long, make a decision. Second, be smart enough to make a good decision, or if yourself feel not comfortable or smart enough, ask others who can help you to get the right decision. And third, have the capability, let's say the competence, maybe even the talent, to motivate people to turn a decision once made into reality. And that's exactly what is trained here, sort of business leadership, but these three elements can be one-to-one translated into politics. And again, so if the leaders across the European Union, the business leaders, demonstrate good leadership, I think with good reasons they can claim from the politicians they should be good leaders as well. And if they don't have a clue how this looks like, then they should look into the business where we have, thanks God, quite a good companies, well managed and well led.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.